Hi, I'm Monty McKinnon. Thank you so much for joining me. I also want to thank you because there's been a number of you that have gone over to Leo Santarelli's channel. And Leo is so excited. He now has, I don't know, 40 to 50 subscribers, and I want to thank you for that. If you haven't checked out Leo, please do so, because this young man is working very hard to make good videos for you, and his last one was really pretty good. I think you'd like it. So check him out and encourage him. Now, I want to tell you why. There was a young man that lived in this house years ago who took a card because he was really good at magic, and he wrote on this card, he said, "Keep this because one day I'll be famous and this will be worth a lot of money." And maybe that's Leo's story. You never know. So what do you say? You slip over there, check them out, and hit the subscribe button, and then come on back and watch the video. So you can do that right now if you wish. Now, in this video, I want to show you how we got to this stage because we have this glued on here. And I decided to go with the rosewood as opposed to the maple, only because there would be more contrast with the maple guitar, and we also have around the edge we've got dark binding on there, and so we have a dark Brazilian bridge to go on. And I thought, you know, the bridge, the fingerboard here, which is dark, and then the adding on the peg head, it really needed to be dark. So that's why I actually like the maple better, but this is what we ended up with. Now, you'll see in this video right here, I'm over at the sander, and what I did is, this is a jig that I use. I ran this through the thickness sander, not to thin it down, but to make sure this was nice and flat, because what we do with this is we take this is going to be the back, so it's not going to be done exactly the same. I'm going to freehand this and bend it to fit the curve of the back, as you'll see in a minute. But what we do is we put some wax paper down here so that it doesn't stick to the form. And then the next thing I do is I put on the black, and I cover that, as you'll see, with glue. And then I put the green on, and I cover that with glue, and then I put this on, and I make sure it's all nice and lined up. And I do this, and then I clamp it, and I put all these clamps right in around here because I want that good and flat, and I want it to adhere nice so we get a nice line all around the peg head of the guitar. So that's the top that is underneath here, and you'll see that in just a minute. So now the next thing I did was to take this to the sander and thin it down, because this is made up of 4 different strips of wood, 1 inch each, and they're all glued together, obviously. And then I put this on here, and this came in after I sanded it down at 75 thousandths of an inch. I would like this, actually, because it's on the back and it's going to bend, I may put this through the sander again to take it down to maybe 70,000 or maybe even 65. You'll never see that because it'll look all the same once it's on here, but it helps it to bend a little easier when I do that. So we'll give that some thought. So that's all coming up there. Now, what I did next is I took this and I turned it upside down. First thing I did, though, actually before that, is I ran it through the bandsaw. And because it was thicker, as you will recall, we had this on the back side of it. I took it, ran it through the bandsaw and cut off a good portion of this because I didn't want to just sand that down. That's a waste. I cut that off, so not to keep, but to keep the sawdust down in the shop. So the next thing you do is you put it upside down and you push it into the sander. The only problem with that is it only comes part way. And so I bring it as far as I can. You can make something that'll take it right into the curve underneath here if you wish, but I didn't have the ability to do that with the sander that I have. So I used it as best I could. I then did the rest of it on the spindle sander and did it by hand. Now, once it was down, and I'll show you the back of that in just a second, but once it was down to the size I wanted, it was then time to glue this onto here, and you'll see that. So let's see how we made out with this. I think it should be pretty good. And there's a little, it's not a trick, but it is something that you really need to do and pay attention to. Those are the support pieces. These support pieces are in two pieces so that I can get the one underneath it. But you can see that this is flat in here and it's fairly thin. So this is shaped on the end so that it fits up in there when I clamp it. And then this I can piece on afterwards. So that's not a problem. So that's how that got clamped, and that's what you were looking at just a second ago when it was in here. Now, this is looking pretty good. Oh yeah, that's a half an inch. That's 51 thousandths. It's going to go up to about 60 thousandths when I do the back. So I'm happy with that. That's going to look just grand. And it's nice and snug there where it needs to be. It's going to get cut off at about here. And we're looking pretty good. Now, when you're at the stage where you've glued this and you've taken it out of this form, you've got a straight edge on the side here. So you take it over to the table saw. Now, this is at a 13-degree angle. And you want the nut, which is going to come in like this and sit right up against that. You want that nice and tight. You don't want to look down at the nut and see space between this and the white nut here where the strings are coming across. So what I do is I take it over to the bandsaw, the table saw, turn it upside down, take the blade and turn it to 13 degrees, put one of these boards on top of it to keep it flat, and then I slide it across and I cut it so that this is at 13 degrees. What that does for me is, because this is on a 13-degree angle and this is 13 degrees, that is 90 degrees. That's straight up. So the nut, which is flat and 90 degrees to the rest of it, it will fit right in there nice and tight, and it will look beautiful. So it's not going to be a problem when you do it that way. I like to do it better that way. What I did initially, if you don't have a table saw, you can line up and put some wood across here, clamp it, take your saw, and then saw down here to get your angle as best you can in here. But honestly, it's worth a table saw if you don't have it. So that's going to look a lot like that once it gets all put together and cut away. So that's it. Now, what I'm doing next is I'm going to bend this to fit in here. And then I will glue this all on here. I will put a flat board, one of these, on the top like this. I will then use this piece in here because it's curved to get the curve so that it bends and gets in there nice and tight, and that'll all work just beautifully. So we're coming along quite well. Now, the next thing I want to do once I've done that is I want to get into cutting this out here. So we're going to narrow this down here so that it shapes in kind of like this and kind of like that, so that it comes like this on the guitar body, and we want a nice look there. So we're coming along just great. It's all good. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for joining me. I have made a change in my tea routine. Just so you know, I'm still drinking English breakfast tea. I like English breakfast tea, but I did put a lot of milk in my English breakfast tea, and I'm trying to cut back on dairy and on milk. And I have been successful at losing a few pounds, and I'm going to lose a few more pounds because the reading I've been doing says I really need to do this. So this is clear tea now, and it's not masked with milk, so it's really good. So thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, come on, let's get with the program. It's down, let's see, it's down here, down on this side, I think. Okay, it's down one of these sides, down in here. I think it's this side though. So hit the subscribe and the like button if you like the video. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking out Leo, and thank you, don't forget to subscribe to his channel. And let's get that young man up over 100, because I really want to encourage him to follow this through, because at his age, by the time he's 20, can you imagine in another 5, 6, 7 years the kind of videos this young man will be doing? He and his Uncle Pete will be doing videos together, and me, I'll just be sitting on the sideline watching them and enjoying them all. So get out there, help us do that. So let's get Leo up over 100, all right? That's the goal. So thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.